What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Canes Insight Daily Podcast, powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Got a new commit for the Miami Hurricanes. I just got off the plane from Philadelphia and woke up to some good news here with the commitment of Asharri Charles, defensive end, Venice, Florida, 4-star blue chipper. Some specs on Mr. Charles, the 4-star. Not the biggest guy, 6'2", 230, but absolutely explosive and productive, high motor, 205 tackles, 24 and a half sacks the past 2 years, won the state championship, and power clean, 360, bench 395, squat 570. The dude is explosive. I picked Miami over Florida, Florida State, Missouri, Kentucky in the mix, two teams that know how to produce pretty good defensive linemen. Quote that he gave to Sebastian Fon, who wrote up the commitment article for CanesInsight.com, said, "They showed me their schemes, and Heatherman's a good defensive coordinator. He knows his stuff. I just love his schemes. It's simple. We don't got to think too much. Just play vertical, and then they like to set up their one-on-ones for their best pass rush guys." So not a huge surprise landing this commit, but definitely a good one for the Canes, for Jason Taylor, Coach Heatherman, Mario Cristobal, the whole crew to land a very, very productive pass rusher. There's Canes Cat. Fired up. Jacoby, go Canes, throwing it up here. Canes guy doesn't love Venice. I don't know. Oh, I'll take Venice, man. Venice is a heck of a program. Hassan saying, boom, let's go Miami. Trevon Welcome, who's bigger, him or Herbert Scroggins? I think Charles probably a little more powerful than Scroggins. Scroggins really, really polishes the defensive end that Miami landed last year from Savannah, Georgia. If I'm comparing the two, I would say with Scroggins, yeah, just a little more, it's hard to say. I think Scroggins maybe a little more fluid, a little more power with Asharri Charles, if I'm comparing the two, but both of them are rated pretty similarly as 4-star players with legitimate top offers, guys that were highly, highly productive. Scroggins in Savannah, I think, is one of the leading pass rushers in Georgia as far as sacks. Asharri Charles, also a really, really productive sack artist. Both of these guys are going to play on the boundary of Coach Heatherman's defense, meaning boundary DN, stand up, closer to the sideline, field defense man, the bigger guy, the Hayden Lowe, the Armando Blunt, that's going to be more towards the field. Deion Bowser's fired up. We got one. Country Kane says, Coach Mario working real hard this recruiting season. Got the special edition steel toe loafers on. Go get him, Coach. Kane's Cat saying that Venice paid the refs against Columbus. I hadn't heard that one. I know Venice guys are pretty good players that are pretty productive. Q Irvin says, welcome to the crib. A lot of people fired up about this commitment, man. Fresh saying he's 6'2". Will he be a linebacker? No, I think he will be a defensive end. Again, Malik Bryant, similar size, similar role in high school as that pass rusher. And Malik Bryant's going to be a boundary defensive end for the Canes, going to play a lot this year. So I think that's something to watch. 24 sacks, like Fresh says, that's big time production, man. That's something that tends to translate is sack production. You get guys that get sacks, get sacks. So that's what you see with Asharri Charles. Good way to say it, Trevon, as far as Scroggins and Charles. One's more polished, one's more explosive. I could see that as the comparison there. But let's pull some highlights here on Asharri Charles because I'm talking about the guy. Let's see what he does on the field here for Venice. And you could see, guy's got instincts, always well coached with Venice. That's a hallmark of their team. Just well coached, tough guys. What I like about him, you see him operate out of the 3-point stance. He just has that power, man. Boom. You see how he gets under guys and knocks them back. And here, look, something we've seen with guys that get drafted on defense in the NFL. A lot of times I go back and watch their high school tapes, and invariably those guys are playing wildcat quarterback or running back, like we see here, wide receiver. We saw Greg Rousseau, who ended up being a first-round pick for the Canes. Guys that play even a little bit of offense, it shows their athleticism and instincts. But I think the key with Charles here is that ability to get low and play with power. Boom, right there. You see him leaving that big guy on his feet and bearing. I think that might have been Cannon Smith, actually. Cannon Pickett. Here you go against IMG and Kenye Pepe. Sideline to sideline, boom, delivering a shot. Very physical player. And by the way, you see the guys he's going against. This is not a little league schedule. He's going against big offensive tackles and burying them. High intensity player, high motor. So Canes Cat asked me if we could do a history of developing guys like Charles. As far as the Canes, it depends. I mean, like, let's say Jason Taylor hasn't been here that long, so it's hard to say. I mean, Ruben Bain is projected as one of the better players in the country, an All-America type player. I'm not sure you would exactly compare Ruben Bain to Bryant. Ruben Bain's bigger, heavier guy, but I do think their power, like back to the power is so big in their game, that's similar. You see just the ability to get low, get off blocks. I think that's something that you love to see from Asharri Charles. Look at him run down this play from the backside. Great motor, great physicality with the tackle. Sarnoff saying, it looks like this roster was lining up to be a 3-4 type of front, just missing that really big nose. We did a whole breakdown of Coach Heatherman's defense with Lance Roffers. You can check it out on our channel. Lance Roffers really broke down the defense. Whether it's a 3-4, 4-3, I mean, it kind of depends on how you look at it. Basically, you're going to have a guy standing up, but he's going to be more like an edge. That's going to be your boundary edge, and that's what Asharri Charles will play. So you could see Asharri Charles standing up, although I like him in a 3-point stance. He's so explosive out of it. He gets so low. Look at the instinct. Boom. I mean, this is not somebody who's just, sometimes you'll see like a very short highlight reel and it looks great. And then you realize why that's a short highlight reel, because the guy makes like, a play every other game. But Asharri Charles is making play after play against top defenses. Here's 850 Kane. I live down here. Venice is a freaking powerhouse. My first game, I went to see them play Miami Columbus in the playoffs, and they beat the brakes off them. So, yeah, this is a big-time school, and he is a leader on that team. Look at him run down. Again, I love the effort from this player, man. He is out there playing hard, running stuff down, blowing guys off the ball, doing his thing, which is what you want to see. So, I really love what I'm seeing here. All right, what we got here? Power reminds me of Mini Bain from Jimmy Neutron. Yeah, I mean, look, again, Bain's bigger, but you see the same thing of Bain, his ability to get low and just explode and knock people down. You see these Columbus clips. He was a force against Columbus. Dennis's new tweet has a kid flipping. We'll find out who that is. I'm sure we'll have a pod here soon. There's the spin move. Yeah, this is a heck of a player, man. Chat's going crazy. Got almost 700 on in the blink of an eye. People are fired up for commitment season and Asharri Charles. After this, I want to show his weight room stuff, because that tells you, there's him against Columbus there, why he is such a dangerous player. Look at Miami's defensive end class. Nolan Wilson, bigger guy, more of your field defensive end. He was visiting today along with Asharri Charles. He's a guy that's trending up. Other defensive ends in the mix there, but I think Miami love to land a big defensive end to pair with Charles, who's explosive. This is a guy who's been on campus multiple times. I saw him in spring. Miami's been in the mix with him forever. Guy that's been highly valued by the staff since day one. Like, they're very familiar with the player, been around him a ton, feel great about it. And you want to add physical, explosive players, man. I think that's really the key here. If you get guys with power, and I use that word a lot because I think we don't hear you see him blitzing from very far away. I'm pretty sure that's Cannon Pickett trying to handle him. That's a tough guy to handle. But yeah, Cannon Pickett, Miami commitment at tackle. I'm getting this question a lot here. How does he compare to Malik Bryant coming out of high school? I think he's stronger than Malik Bryant. That's my impression of him. He's more powerful than Malik Bryant. Malik Bryant may be more slippery than Asharri Charles. Asharri Charles more kind of like straight through you. My man Gmo, do you think he's a better prospect than Damon Wilson? Also went to Venice a few years ago as a high school prospect. Damon Wilson, I think, was a 5-star or close to it. He was going to be the main pass rusher at Georgia. Ends up transferring to Missouri, which shows you the new age of the transfer portal. Georgia's losing guys that are going to be stars for him, or at least key guys. Damon Wilson, another Venice guy, defensive end, transfers to Georgia. I think Damon Wilson they're both big, strong guys. I think that Damon Wilson probably a little more size to him. Just like a little more upside from the physical standpoint. Charles is built more like a really big linebacker. Aveo asking, Anthony Jones from Mobile still in it for him? Yep. I mean, my understanding, though, these were never like an either-or situation. So definitely still in for Anthony Jones. That's a battle. Auburn's in that mix. They just got a commitment they just got a crystal ball from Jaquez Wilkes, who Miami was supposed to have this weekend, had a family issue. I'm not sure what's behind that crystal ball. I'll do some digging. Miami thinks they got a great chance with Jaquez Wilkes, but there's a lot of guys in the mix for that class that we're battling Auburn for. And I'm never doing this, but I'm checking my tweets because apparently it's blowing up here. And Dennis Smith is tweeting up a storm. So let me see what our friend Dennis is tweeting about here. Give me a second because it's got people talking. Let's see what Dennis Smith was tweeting about besides just the usual bat signal from him. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see here. Let's see here. Here's Dennis Smith, Miami's recruiting coordinator. I don't even know what you call his title these days, but you see a big man flipping right there. So got to tweet that out. We'll put a little eye emoji. That always gets everybody excited. Let's do a little eye emoji. How about that? For getting your mind right and flipping. I got some ideas of who it could be. Let's see. I mean, let's talk about it. Who is committed right now? There could be a potential flip. Let's talk about it in the chat. Who do you think this is about? You could talk about, let's see. Tyron Evans decommitted, so I guess he wouldn't necessarily be a flip. Vance Spafford not on campus right now, I don't believe. Though who knows? Izzy Briggs, Zach Turner, nope. Koloje, nope. Clutch is saying the Tennessee wide receiver, maybe that counts, but he already decommitted, so I don't know if that would be the flip. Gmo saying Keys, that would be pretty nice. Who was visiting this weekend that was committed? Let me think about that. We'll do some research here because that is an interesting one. It could be Tyron Evans, a wide receiver we talked about who was committed to the Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee wanted to keep him. They weren't able to. He decommitted, and now it looks like Miami's going to get him. So I guess that could be a flip, but you're talking about a guy who already decommitted. Mauricio Torres saying, take a day off, man. Hey, I'm working. This is fun for me, man. If I wasn't doing this show, I'd be checking up on doing the same thing anyways, just without a camera in front of me. So I might as well put a camera in front of me and have 1,000 of my closest friends joining live as we're getting right now, man. But appreciate you. Always shout out to Ashari and Levine. They don't take days off either. If you or someone you care about an injured in an accident, you could be entitled significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Ashari and Levine. Nathan, there's a good one. This could be one. I don't know this to be the case. Again, I haven't talked to anybody. I literally just landed. But that's an interesting one. A guy like Brody Jennings, the defensive back, the cornerback from Jacksonville Mandarin, Carson Beck's old school. He is committed to Michigan. He'd definitely be someone that Miami would love to flip and had they been dying to flip to the Canes. So that's not a bad name. Brody Jennings. Let's see who else is committed. Just going through the list here. Yeah, I mean, that's really, we're not after a lot of guys that are committed. Tristan Keys, obviously, that's a big one. But yeah, I think Brody Jennings, that might be the one. I'm not reporting that because I don't know, but that makes a lot of sense that it would be a Brody Jennings type. So if it is, Canes would love to get that kind of guy. And if it's just, and I say just because we already know that he's kind of trending our way, but if it's Tyron Evans, that's a player Miami really would love to get a wide receiver. So going back to Charles, I talked about his power. I wanted to pull up some clips here just so guys can see just how powerful this dude is in the weight room. Here we go. 395 bench, squat clean, 360, squat 570. Here's the clean. And you talk about power, explosiveness. Those of you who've done these lifts, this is all explosiveness. This one always gave me some trouble for sure. But you talk about getting, the flexibility, the explosiveness, the ability to get under guys and knock guys back. That all comes from this one right here. There you see. Bends low, that's how he gets under guys with that nice flexibility. And then look at the explosiveness. Boom. There you go. Yeah, he's still got room to add weight. Not exactly. It's not like he's not like Bane where he's 270, 280 pounds coming in, or 260 pounds coming in. He's got room to add weight, but the explosiveness, the power. I mean, that's big boy weight right there. Team record. And remember, this is not like some small school. This is Venice. This is a powerhouse program. We just talked about a borderline 5-star defensive end they had a couple years ago. So team record right there for Asharri Charles. So this dude has some power, packs a punch. Impressive clean. A lot of people are saying USC offensive tackle, right? Kenya Pepe. I don't think that's going to be it, just because, man, you are really you're really invested in that offensive line room. Tyson Bacon, the defensive tackle commit that Miami got, he just posted, our side's going to be crazy, talking about the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, you already see these commits kind of sticking together here. It could be a 2027 guy. I don't know who's committed in the 2027 part of town, but we'll see. Joel Irvin fired up. They got a lot of Canes fans, a lot of Canes commits going crazy on Twitter. So it's nice to see all this unity here. Let's see what's going on. Do we need your prediction on who it is for the flip? I think Brody Jennings is my guess. Rod Duke said Asharri Charles just committed. I know, that's why we did the stream, my man. That's what the whole stream is. But appreciate you joining the show, man. We got over 1,200 on. Green Straw America saying off topic but on topic. How does Jason Lopez, who's visiting this weekend, someone in Miami would love to land, and again, one of my favorite players in the class. How does he balance basketball and football when the season's intertwined? Does he join basketball or football's over with theoretically? Yeah, I think that's how it would be. Again, point guard, so it's a tough position. That's why you haven't seen too many guys be able to do it effectively. It's a very tough situation to play. I mean, there's people that can do it. Doesn't mean they are able to do it like during, and actually pull it off. So, we'll see. But he has the ability to do it, and he has now the opportunity to do it because he met with Jay Lucas, and Jay Lucas said, we want you to be a Cane on the basketball side, which that lays the table for potential commitment from Jason Lopez. I haven't heard that's imminent. Again, I haven't really talked to anybody. Sebastian Fall will bring him on the show tomorrow because he was with all these kids today interviewing them. I just got off the plane, as you can tell from my haggard appearance. FTW, I'm muted. Asharri Charles. Who's he similar to on the team? Mohamed Torre. That's a guy who came in as a pass rusher to Rutgers, ended up transitioning to linebackers, one of their best linebackers now after a couple injuries, heading to Miami and, looks healthy and will potentially be one of Miami's best linebackers. I could see similarities in the body type. I think Torre is probably more like a runaround type of pass rusher, whereas Asharri Charles is like a go-through-you pass rusher. Malik Bryant, comp. He's not as big as this guy, so I'm not saying he's the same type of player because the player I'm talking about is bigger than him. But just in terms of the way they attack, Olivier Vernon was a guy that liked to get under you and really knock you back and win with power that way. So I see some similarities there, but again, he's more similar in size to a Malik Bryant. G-Dub says, Amy from Gaffney says she loves the show. Shout out to Amy. Shout out to Amy. Caroline and Joe says, we got to beef up the defensive tackle position more than edge. So look, you got Tyson Bacon in the mix. He's committed. It looks like he reminds me of Brandon Dorless, RJ McIntosh, that kind of defensive tackle where it's lighter side, but tall, lanky, athletic, makes plays in the backfield. Freddie Wilson, who I'm talking to people about, this is the defensive tackle from Spruce Creek out there by Daytona. 3-star, visited Minnesota, Georgia Tech, teams like that. My understanding is that Miami does want him. And, part of the reason you wanted Freddie Wilson is you're tired of getting these guys 4 years later in the portal when they're really expensive. So you're trying to build depth, true depth. And a guy like that, is he a Lamar Brown or kind of guy where you're going crazy in that battle? Probably not. But this is a guy with legitimate offers from legitimate teams that produce players and has shown flashes with our camp today, very athletic, had a really good spring, needs to gain some weight. And I think you bring in a guy like that as your depth because defensive tackle, you can never really have enough of them. And if you can develop him into a guy that plays, you're feeling pretty good. So I think those two are guys you could fit into this class. Nolan Wilson, he's 240 right now. I put him more in the field defensive end category, but maybe slides inside the 3 technique. If you can get that one done, it's going to be a battle with Alabama. He's from Mississippi. Ole Miss will be in there. A lot of SEC teams, but you just had a great visit with him here that he's finishing up today. And then the kind of the marquee name, and GMOs are all over it, James Johnson, the defensive tackle, originally from Fort Myers, now at Miami Northwestern, who was at Texas this weekend, but Texas got a commitment from a different Fort Myers defensive tackle in Kendall Gorville, another good player that we recruited. So I don't know if that one has anything to do with the other, but I know Miami has James Johnson right there at the top, so he'd be a huge addition for the Canes. Clutch 22 asking anything on the Derek Cooper front. Yeah, I think the latest I've heard is that the Canes are after him hard. And to say he's a priority is like the understatement of the year. I mean, he is a extraordinary priority, and the Canes would love to land him. I mean, forget love to land him. It'd be a disaster if they didn't. He's one of those guys that you got to get. So, that's something that I think Miami has to get done. They know they have to get it done. They had the lead for much of the process, at least much of the recent process, but the guy's getting recruited by Ohio State, Texas, Georgia. So, I think with Ohio State this weekend, you got to survive that. But I think Miami is going to be in good shape there based on everything I've heard. But who knows? It's recruiting. But I think Miami is definitely after him. Pulling up the sophomore clips on Asharri Charles, just because I actually haven't even seen these. So curious to see how he develops. So we're taking a step backwards in time. This is as a sophomore. You can see he's grown a little bit, but still that same kind of powerful stance and that explosiveness. I just like this guy's a physical player. A lot of these guys that are these pass rushers are they like to be slippery, run around guys. This is someone who goes through, which is what I like to see. Gmo saying OSU insiders called me and told me he's going to OSU. We'll see. I mean, look, everybody's got their opinion on Derek Cooper. I know Miami's felt good, and I know Miami needs to get him. So we'll see. I don't see him. I think Miami will eventually get that done one way or the other. But we'll see. We'll see when the visit high wears off. 1,300 on this live. Like and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Here we're seeing Asharri Charles. Like you're saying, if you're just tuning in now, you're saying this guy looks a little small. This is his sophomore highlights. We're going back in time here just because I wanted to watch some more. But look at that power, man. Delivering a shot. I like this guy. I just like the physicality he plays with. Hassan asking, does anything on Vance Spafford? This is the wide receiver from Orange County. Is Miami still in it? I've heard Miami is very much still in it. Curious how it's going to work with the dead period. He's sick, so he couldn't get on campus for an official, but they'd like to get him on campus. Those West Coast schools, UCLA, which is the local school, which would, they got money to spend. They'd love to get him. And then throwing at the Gator chop. Well, Gators didn't get this one done. Spafford, super talented slot. You'd love to land him. And I think Miami has a great chance. He's committed to Georgia, but it doesn't feel like he's going to Georgia. That's for sure. And Miami really, really would love to land this player. Kane's got the past 7 hours since the morning stream. Is there any new update for baseball, man? This guy's fiending for baseball news. I promise you. I'll get you the latest, but a lot of it, they're working in silence right now, man. So what can I tell you? This is Jason Taylor, man. A lot of blue chips. Just going through the list of blue chips this guy's landed. Look at that jump off the ball for Charles. You got a blue chip guy in Charles. Last year, you got a blue chip guy in Herbert Scroggins. You got a 5-star guy in Hayden Lowe. Year before that, you got a 5-star guy in Marquise Lightfoot, blue chip and Booker Pickett. I mean, he has landed some really, really, really good players, and he's done that consistently. Brandon asked him, I'm staying alive for the flip. I don't know when the flip's coming. This is all happening since I've been on, man. Let me land. Let me unpack my briefcase. I just got here. Rod Vick saying protect Jason Taylor at all costs. Yeah, he's proven his chops recruiting wise. Now it's about getting guys like Ruben Bain, Akeem Messidor, Armando Blunt, Marquise Lightfoot, all those great players I just talked about to play up to their potential in the field. I think they will. I think a lot of the problems, it wasn't like a position coach issue. I thought it was really more schematic this year. So we'll see. But here we go. Let's see. Someone's asking about where our class ranks. Let's take a look. We are currently 8th with 9 4-star commits, 1 5-star commit. So 10 blue chip commits, 5 non-blue chips. And if you look at our class rankings or our 247 ranking, so this is different than the composite, but let's just look at it as the composite at the 247 ranking here. You have right there the number 2 player in the class, Asharri Charles, who just committed, number 147th ranked player in the country on 247, 15th ranked edge. So let me see. Let's see the composite, see if it's any different. On the composite, so we're 8th on both. And then on the composite, Charles is a little lower. He is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ranked player in the composite. Wow, Darian Coleman's really taking a leap up here on the composite. That's interesting. But Asharri Charles right there, but 21st ranked edge. Interesting when you look at this. So this is the industry rankings here, the composite. This is different than 247. Got 1 5-star, 4-star, 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 4-star. And then really you get to Cannon Pickett and Joel Irvin. Joel Irvin, I think he will be a 4-star when it's all said and done. Cannon Pickett, he has a 4-star rating from somebody. I think 247 is a low one on Pickett. Edwards, who just committed yesterday, he's a riser. And then JJ Sparks and Woodrow, you're taking those guys as just grinders, guys with some upside, developmental guys. So we'll see. But a lot of speculation, man, on what's going on. So we'll see. I got to catch my breath. It has been awesome. Jimo say no more 3-star. Yeah, I think that should have been done when you started landing top 5 classes. But fired up. We will keep an eye on this class. Over 1,400 live. Like and subscribe to this show. Don't forget about canesconnection.com/CIS if you want to get all the latest insider info and, more importantly, part of the reason why these guys are picking Miami, because that's Miami's official collective. Miami Hurricane Team Store, MiamiHTS.com. Use promo code Inside20. Get 20% off your first item at the team store. And just in case you were wondering what they got at the team store, that you get 20% off using promo code Inside20. Check out all this. Check out all this stuff, man. Look at that. Got the new era hats. You got jerseys. Stuff for your pets. You want your dog wearing a Canes jersey, get 20% off. Shorts. It's hot out there. I know you need that. Ed Reed, Sean Taylor throwbacks, 20% off. Use promo code Inside20. That's in the store or online at MiamiHTS.com. Either way, almost 1,500 live. Thank you for joining us. Like, share, and subscribe. And I will talk to you tomorrow, unless there's another commitment today, in which case I'll see you again soon. Go Canes.